into that position. What I was talking about before, about luring. So yeah, look at this. Pulls off creep. Okay, yep, so that's what we're going to be talking about. Beautiful engages, getting these, just so many banelings killed. So yeah, this is what you need to do as Terran. It's kind of, he's got 3 bases, he's got a good economy, he's got crazy upgrades. He doesn't need to go, oh, I need to kill the Zerg in this timing window. He needs to apply pressure, he needs to attack, he needs to cause damage, but he doesn't need to cause it that urgently. So he's setting up calmly. So I think that's it. And I mean, look at this. He's got so much stuff. Polt's got a supply lead, but you know, if he loses these bases, that's just it. Once the Terran gets between your rally points, you can't do anything. And look at that, pulls off creep again, and Polt just leaves. He rage quits, actually. So do shoot through any questions. We're going to go back and watch it now. And I know I've been answering questions from the same people. I'm assuming it's just because they're the only people who are asking questions, or the only ones asking really good questions that I can give a good answer to. I'm not choosing the questions. Do direct them to Henry and Steve in the chat, or you can just shout them out. They'll just find them. But yeah, alright. So let's look at how this build goes. It's a 1-Rax expand. Is there any ambiguity in it? Well, he's putting the racks on the low ground, so there's a faster rally. It's a bit more dangerous. But, you know, straight away, Polt can scout that there's no gas. So we're not going to look at the Zerg's point of view, because the Zerg's point of view isn't as interesting. I think Terran build's a bit more exciting. And it's Iaguz. We want to look at what Iaguz does, because Iaguz is a man of many builds. I've seen Rossi do this build. Actually, Rossi did this build and smashed that AZK guy, Tommy J, in the first televised match yesterday. So yeah, same build. And there's not really much ambiguity. I mean, he does come out with a Marine, so there could be another proxied barracks. So the Zerg has to kind of worry a little bit. But Iaguz doesn't want to lose his Marine. He doesn't want to really apply too much pressure. He's just, he pulls back instantly. He thinks, oh, maybe there's Zerglings on the way. And he forced 6 Zerglings with that. And then he just throws down his barracks wall in to be safe. Look at this. As soon as the Marine gets back in, throws that. And then, immediately after, 2 gases. So it's command center, fake a bit of pressure, pull back, 2 barracks to wall off, 2 gases immediately after that. So this build is actually like really cool, and you don't need to necessarily know this build exactly, but if you are thinking, I want to learn that build, look it up on TL. Google TL for Team Liquid, Marine King part, fast upgrades, mass Marine Shakuris build, and it will you'll find it if you just search things like that a few times. So it's really not that hard to find builds like this and memorize them. What I'm going to be talking about more is the idea behind it, and the idea behind this build is you're able to apply this pressure, but you don't need to kill them with it. You can always afford to lose your units with this build, but as long as you trade them pretty efficiently. Because it's what we call just a solid macro build. Look at this. Maynarding his guys down. It's only 5 minutes 30. You know, like, the Zerg's expansion's hardly up. It's just such a good build. And what does he use all this gas for? Well, he uses it for a quick double eBay. So he's getting close to 200 gas, so he needs those eBays up. eBays actually build in only 35 seconds. So you see, you can build them when you're at maybe 120, 130 gas. See, these are slightly late. You built them at about 160, 150 gas. And they're going to be about almost 100 gas late. So maybe you could get these earlier, but you know what? It's still going to be really, really fast upgrades. And I don't actually understand this build. I understand how it works. I don't understand the exact timings of it. So, 1-1. Starting at 6 minutes 40. You know, that's just insane. That really is. What's the Zerg got? I mean, the Zerg hasn't even started an Evo chamber. He's just kind of teching up. And this is what you can do as Zerg. And let's look at Iaguz's vision. Sorry. I should keep it on this view. So you think about it, when you're playing Terran, that's the view you've got. So, Comp Fitness says, should you rally workers to a new expo, or do you send a few from every expansion there? How does one avoid death when you upgrade that fast? From Antimetric as well. So I'll go with Comp Fitness's question first. Should you rally workers to a new expo, or do you send just a few from each expo there? It comes down to saturation, Comp Fitness. What you always want is you want optimal saturation on each base. So what I personally like to do as a Zerg player is, here we go. This is a good example. See here, you've got, okay, imagine these guys aren't going onto gas. Let's just imagine these guys. 8, 16, 24, 20, 22. 22 drones, that's a good number to have on minerals. The moment I get 22 on minerals, I'll rally it down here, just like Polt's done. He sets the rally point down there. and then doesn't take any more drones there for buildings, doesn't take any drones away from it or anything like that, and it's just saturated. It's on a good number. 20 is a good number to have, and he can just ignore it the rest of the game. Once this one's at 20, he's already put the guys onto gas and that sort of thing. He rallies both of them to the third base, and then just sends any new drones there, etc. And this is an easy way to manage it. So you've only got one base that isn't saturated at any given time, unless you double expand. So that keeps it really simple. Now, in this case, iGuz is basically doing a build where he just has it calculated, he always does it the same, and he knows that what's going to happen is he'd rather oversaturate his bases evenly, get them as efficient as possible. So what he's done is he's got, you see 11 there, slightly more here, 13. So he gets almost exactly the same workers on each base, and then just rallies them to their own base, and just builds SCVs there. So he could have left them here and then just waited till this got to about 18, 20, 22 workers and then rallied it down, and it would have been almost as efficient. It's really just a matter of very, very slight efficiency, and if you know your build and the timing of your expansion, you know exactly the number of workers to send down, etc., then it's really simple. The main thing is just to manage that saturation throughout the game and get it to a point where preferably you don't need to keep thinking about it. You want to get it over and done with as quickly as possible, which is why I do what Pult does. I rally it to my newer bases. I then rally it to my newer bases. And I do this when I play Terran. I do this when I play Protoss as well. I would have left all these guys up here. This would have been saturated. I would have said, I don't need to think about you anymore. Maybe just pulled 2 or 3 away and rallied them both to this mineral patch. Hopefully that makes sense. But you've got to always aiming for that 16 to 22 range of workers. Or 16 to 24. 24 is way too much in my eyes though. And yeah, you just keep it around that level, do it however you like. Either way, whatever you find easier to manage. I like to do it, rally them to the new bases, so you've only got one base not saturated. Overemphasizing that point, talking about it a bit too much, but there we go. So, cool. Getting the questions spammed at me, but no worries, they're the same questions, so it's okay. How does one avoid death when you upgrade that fast? Says Antimetric 7. Well, Antimetric, man. See this? This is why it's specific to this map. You've got a barracks wall off. 3 barracks wall off. On Tal'Darim, you can't do that. There's got to be a depot or something there, or a 4th barracks. On this map, you can afford to have 3 barracks walling it off. If you do it here, 3 barracks. You can have the tech lab there, or the tech lab up here on a 4th barracks. And a barracks wall off, how can a Zerg attack into that? There's just not much they can do. Even if they do an epic Baneling bust, it takes so many Banelings to get through them, you're going to have enough Marines behind it that you should be able to hold it. So that's pretty much it. If you've got an epic wall off, then this is a safe build. Otherwise, it is not. So, Dead Lizard. Should you really memorize a build order, or is it better to start with a broad idea and then refine it? Well, there's different approaches to the game, Dead Lizard. I find if you're really new to the game, it's good, and you're still getting used to a lot of the concepts, a lot of the ideas, it's good to just kind of go with your gut. Learn some builds and follow the openers especially. But past that, it's not so important. You want to be learning, oh, this unit's good in this situation, etc. Because you don't really have the game knowledge to follow a build and adapt it properly. So, just memorizing openers, 100% what you should do to improve at this game. Memorizing exact build orders, maybe not until you're in the Gold League. Maybe not. But if you'd like, it's actually a really, really good way to play it, in my eyes, is having build orders, especially as a Terran player. As a Terran player, I think, and no, as a Zerg and a Protoss, you need to, to improve at this game, yep, you need to have a build memorized up to at least the 7, 8, 9, preferably the 10-minute mark. You want to have an idea of what you're doing, and then as you get past the maybe 8 or 9 minute mark, your build becomes more broad. It's not this goes down at this exact time. It's more like, if you can secure a third, then you should, once you get that gas going, add another factory. General things like that. And even the initial build order, it shouldn't be build Marine at 2 minutes and 37 seconds, have second Marine, then building. It's not these things. It's general outlines. Day 9 was doing the same thing the other day. It's the same way when I show builds to people I'm coaching. I'll bring one up now. I'll read out a build to you guys that I have, and ZvP build. I'll open this document. This is what I show to a lot of the guys I coach. I send this to them. I say edit it yourself, but this is your general guidelines. So it'll be ZvP build, 15 pool, 16 hatch, 15 overlord, yada yada yada. 2 sets of lings on 17 supply. You get 2 lings to scout their ramp, 2 lings to check for pylons. Queue the second queen before the first one finishes, and then it just has a note on, you know, this one injects, then you spread a creep tumor, then you keep injecting. Then there's not build overlord on 26, build overlord on 32. It just goes straight to your next indicator, your next build order thing, besides just droning, getting overlords, injecting, is around 40 supply, get a Roachron, an Evo chamber, and a second gas. So just a general guideline. It's not an exact timing, it depends on what you're scouting, obviously. And, you know, all these timings vary if you scout something that means a 4 gate's coming or something like that. So, other things. And then there'll be the other things. I'll actually have a section in most of my builds, other things or notes, and I'll just say, get these attack upgrades, they're good. But when do you get them? I don't know. That's where there's always room for adaptation, but there's certain parts of the build which you should not bend. The macro parts, you want to be droning all the time. You want to get your pool at this time, your hatch at this time, so your open is refined, so that at least you're getting a nice, clean kickoff from the start of the game. I'm like making all these mannerisms and I'm only in the little screen in the corner. Other notes, like once you've saturated on 2 bases, don't saturate a 3rd base. Instead, build units, because otherwise a 2-base timing attack will kill you. So scout while you're building an army, and then react. If you want to, you can take a 3rd base and saturate it. If you don't, you just use your 3rd base as a macro hatch, etc., etc. So that is how I suggest you learn the game, to be honest, is that sort of style. You're not necessarily memorizing a build down to the exact specifics, but you are kind of covering a lot of it. You are covering the main macro things. And that's the thing a lot of players say. They're like, no, I would rather adapt my play. I want to be more creative when I play Starcraft. And it's like, the room for creativity successful creativity only exists within perfection. You need to perfect certain parts of your mechanics and macro, or your creative play is you just getting lucky, or it's just working because your opponent's not playing well, or it just isn't going to work. And you want to perfect the main parts of your play so you've got room for creativity to actually work. There's no point going a Ghost Rush if you don't have a good build to get the ghosts out quickly. Either way, it's going to be a bit gimmicky, but it actually has a good chance of working if it's executed properly, and that's where creativity comes into this game, in my eyes. Obviously my own view, but yeah, definitely hope that answers your question, Dead Lizard. I'm still waiting for Dead Lizard to get a hat to match my pig hat, actually. And another question, man, we're never going to get through this replay. Brano19 says, when a Terran expands fast like Igars did, is it always safe to take an early 3rd? Or is there anything you need to look for to know that it's safe? This is talking as a Zerg player, right, Brano? Because obviously, I mean, you're a Zerg player that I do coach a bit. Is there anything you need to look for to know that it's safe? So I guess you're referring in this specific game to this 3rd pulse taking. This is not safe. Not at all. This is really kind of pushing it greedy, and you know what? I don't think he even takes advantage of it. So let's look at when this hatchery is finishing. Okay, it finishes at 7 minutes 50. It takes 100-second build time. That means he started at 6:10. So that's cutting into his drone production, or his defense, or his tech. It's delaying other things. Now, to make use of it, you need to use it straight away. So what's his drone count? He's at 43. He hasn't even saturated 2 bases yet, and he's getting a roach one. He's teching. He's not making use of it. His natural's not saturated yet. This is where you see the fact that, okay, Polt's off-racing. His build isn't refined. He's doing his mechanics fine, but his build isn't refined. He's seen Nest T take a fast 3rd, but he doesn't know how to do it. That being said, it doesn't get him behind. It's just, there's no reason to take it, because, like you said, it's risky. I mean, how do you know it's safe? You only really want to take be safe. You're only taking a 3rd as a Zerg against a Terran. It's nothing to do with them taking a 3rd, because you can't verify that he's building a 3rd. You should already be building your 3rd before he does, but if he's... yeah, like before he shows his, at the very least. When is it safe to take a 3rd? Well, normally once you're teching up. It depends how you want to play it. Normally once you've kind of got 2 bases saturated, at least on minerals, that's when you can start affording it. So swapping back into the game so you guys can see, sorry. 7 minutes 50, yeah, so this hatchery went down way too early. Look at this. So this has been down for over a minute, 3 drones at it. What's he building? He's building Lingbane to defend the marine move out. So he's getting nothing out of this. What does he get now? He gets to re-drone it really quickly, though. That's the advantage of having a fast turn.